Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. The movie begins in the year 1913. We see a woman named Coco Chanel with her boyfriend named Arthur. They are in Paris after spending some time together. Arthur left and Coco started walking to the opera house. After a while Coco is in the opera house. She meets her best friend named Mitty. She asked Coco about Arthur and she thought he would be coming with her. After some time we see a Russian music composer named Igor. His music will be played in the performance. In the opera house Igor was scared, because it was his first performance in the opera house. However, his wife, Catherine, gave him courage. This whole team was preparing for the performance, and the theater was full of people. Coco was sitting there in the audience with many other rich influential people. Igor went and sit in the audience with his wife. He was hopeful that people will love the play that he has prepared. After a while the music starts and the artist performs a unique dance. It was different from the other dances people were used to watching. That's why most people don't like that unique dance and music. Many people left the theater and the other people sitting in the audience started abusing Igor. They shout and say Igor should go back to Russia. Meanwhile some people liked the play and one of them was Coco. Meanwhile Igor was backstage after the audience reaction, and certainly people started fighting in the audience. Because of that the police had to come. And somehow the performance was complete. Igor was a little relieved backstage. Igor's wife and all the crew members were really upset after the audience's reaction. However, Coco was also in the audience and she liked the play. After some time Igor calls a meeting and says that people didn't like the play because of the bad dance. The choreographer replied that all of this happened because of Igor's strange music, and the choreographer left. After that the crew member explains to Igor that he has invented a new language and people are not ready for that yet. Igor starts thinking about it and goes into thoughts. After 7 years in, Coco was invited to a party where she met Igor. Meanwhile Coco was famous and very influential at the time. She was a businesswoman and everyone knew her. Coco had a luxurious life and no one could say that she is empty from the inside. One of Igor's friends tells him that Coco's boyfriend had an accident and was dead on the spot, and Coco has not recovered from her boyfriend's death. Igor was impressed with Coco, and on the other hand Coco was also impressed with Igor's music. That's why they decided to meet. After some time Falco knew that Igor needed money, and because of the Russian Revolution Igor wants to leave France. After some time Coco tells him that he should live in her house with his family. The house is away from Paris. She further tells him that he can make music in silence because she loves his music. At first Igor hesitates to take Coco's help. However, when he goes to tell his wife, Igor sees that his wife is in a really bad condition. The following day, Igor goes to Coco's house with his family. Coco had a big house and it was like a palace. Igor's family has never been to such a big house. His kids were thrilled at her house. Meanwhile Igor's wife notices that Coco only loves black, and there is no other color in the house. After some time Coco takes Igor to a room where he can compose music. Coco gave his family a new house and went back to Paris. Later Igor's family was settling down in their new house, and on the other side Coco was busy with her work. When Coco comes back to her house, Igor and Coco realized that they both are attracted to each other. Coco is becoming part of the family and Igor is going away from his wife. Meanwhile, Igor's sick wife helps her husband in writing music. When Coco is talking to Igor's wife, she looks at her clothes and gets an idea for a dress. After that Coco started working on her idea. One day, after practice, Igor decides to explode the house. While exploring, he went inside Coco's room and started looking at the things in the room. However, Igor knew that the reason for coming into Coco's room is different. After some days we see that Coco wanted to design clothes for Igor. Thus, like Igor, he never writes his composition on paper and always played them on the piano. In the same way, Coco never draws her designs on paper. To some extent both are similar. Coco starts to tell Igor about dresses and he tells her about music. While learning music, Coco comes close to Igor. Catherine sees them together and she started feeling really upset. She understood that Igor had started loving Coco. However, she couldn't tell him anything. In the eyes of Igor, his wife was like a dry leaf. On the other hand, Coco was also ready to get over her dead boyfriend. After some days, at night Coco decided to come close to Igor. She goes to meet Igor and starts kissing him and gets intimate. She forgot everything and started an affair with Igor. After some days, Coco and Igor both began to change. The woman who only likes to wear black started wearing other colors as well. Coco is happy again. Igor was so deeply in love that he forgot about his wife and children. Igor did his best to hide his affair. However, Catherine's doubt was increasing day by day. After some time, Coco went to a village for some work. She meets a man named Ernest who is a perfume maker. Coco is expanding her business and starting a perfume company under her name Chanel. On the other side, Igor was desperately waiting for Coco to return. One night, Catherine looks at him and says that she feels like she doesn't know him anymore. She also says that she wants to leave this house. Igor replies that he is making good music in this house and that's why he cannot leave. Igor was passionate about his work which he lost, and when he was with Coco he made good music, and now when she is away for a few weeks he couldn't compose any music. On the other hand, Coco had a perfume company started and they were making many new perfumes. However, Coco had not found the fragrance she was looking for. One day Ernest makes perfume and Coco likes it. That was Ernest's fifth experiment. That's why the perfume was named Chanel No. 5. As soon as Coco finishes her work, she comes back home. At home there was a wooden house and their affair continued in that house. Coco gives a dress to Catherine to make her happy. She also gives her perfume. Meanwhile, Catherine knows the Coco is acting. She tells Coco that she is happy for her husband because he was feeling good. She wanted Coco's affair not to affect Igor's work. Coco is embarrassed after hearing about Catherine and that she knows about their affair. Later, Igor apologizes to Catherine for his affair. Catherine's heart was broken and still she tells him that she has no problem with his affair. She is worried because her body is ending. Igor gets upset after hearing that. After some time, problems started to grow between Coco and Igor. Meanwhile, Coco started thinking that because Igor is a man he doesn't have any right to live with two women. Coco thought Igor was looking down on her. Moreover, Coco is an independent woman, and she ends her affair. After that, she goes to meet Igor's manager without telling him. Coco pays a good amount for Igor's all shows. She just had one condition: they wouldn't tell him that Coco paid all the money. Meanwhile, Igor was disturbed because of Coco's behavior. He was upset. However, Coco had promised herself not to give him another chance. After some days, the opera house owner, along with Igor's manager and middies, comes to Coco's house for dinner. They start talking, and in the conversation, Igor's manager talks about the donation for Igor. Meanwhile, Igor was still thinking about his broken relationship with Coco. That's why he drank too much and started behaving like a crazy man. After that, he went to his piano and started making new music compositions. Later, Catherine fixes all the mistakes her husband made in the composition. Catherine understood that a relationship with her husband is completely finished. The following morning, Catherine decides to leave the house because her children also know that Catherine and Igor's relationship has deteriorated. For the sake of her children, she must leave the house. Even after Igor's apology, Catherine doesn't stay and leave the house with her children. Catherine has left a letter for Coco. In the letter, she thanked Coco for helping them in their worst times. She further says that she has a lot of respect for her independent life and all her work. However, she doesn't respect her affair and her character. Catherine further writes that the man who wants to live with her as a father and his children need him the most at this time. That's why Coco should think before taking any step ahead. Meanwhile, Igor couldn't compose a new song. That's why he wanted Coco to come back to him. Igor tries to get intimate with Coco forcefully, and she doesn't let him come close. Coco has made up her mind that she won't continue her relationship. Igor was sad and heartbroken. Later, he made a new song that he has never made before. He started working on new songs. Igor started drinking to get rid of his grief. One day, Coco sees that Igor has made his new song, so she went to get him out of his grief. They both ended their relationship on a good note, and after that they started their new life. Regardless, there was a big change in their life because of their affair. Because of the affair, Coco could find the fragrance she was searching for. On the other hand, Igor could make music, which led him to be a very successful composer. After years, at the end of Coco and Igor's life, they thought about the things that happened in that house with the memories of that house they lived. Their life, and the movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story till take care.